There's no particular one thing different for parents as for children also. From what I have seen, some parents tend to be so reluctant to pushing their children into a Buddhist environment, and so they almost sort of don't even suggest. They're very afraid to suggest because they don't want to shape them. They want the children to themselves come into that sort of an understanding. One can appreciate that. Then there are some who are, I think, also meddle too much with the child, and they tend to see how children, especially from a very young age, can meditate and so on and so forth, which probably is also in some ways good, but both tend to sometimes be in extremes. I have always suggested parents to begin by making a child comfortable in the environment of Dharma. So encouraging children to be brought to program places where teachings or practices especially are being held. And for that, I think the patience of other Sangha members who may not be parents is very much needed. You can't, of course, bring them into every situation, but there are enough situations happening within a Buddhist community which may not be that sort of requiring silence and stillness. And so in those situations, I think getting to know where your parents go, what your parents do. There are others who do the same thing as your parents do. Because for Western children, I think one of the very significant experiences they have is they may be in a classroom and you may be the only one with a Buddhist parent. So you kind of feel yourself separated from the whole group. But when you go to a community, when there are many people who are doing what your parents are doing, I guess it helps them to think there are other people who are doing the same things. And it's a comforting thought for young children especially. And so I think the first effort must be put in making them comfortable, see things, which also will give them then the possibility to make their own mind whether they want to come or not come. It has so very often happened that very young children come and grow up in a Sangha situation. They are familiar with teachers coming and going or teachings or various practices that are happening, meditation that are happening. They may even try to attempt some. Then in their teen years, they sort of back out from that. There's resistance, which is very understandable. But I've seen so many of them come back because they know a thought. They know basic goodness. They've heard these words. So whatever in their future life, wherever they feel that such a thought may bring them some benefit, I think many of them find their way into connecting with the teachings in a much more natural way, which I think for the next generation is very important because this is a different generation. It's a generation that is not relating to something with so much of a kind of a different, seeing it as something very different, something very new to explore. It's a much more natural inclination to the teachings that are there. And so I think the natural adaptability to the environment in which Dharma is taught and practiced comes far more for the younger generation in that way. So it creates a sense of natural flexibility, I think, which is very, very important. So perhaps that way of encouraging parents to feel comfortable in bringing the children and the Sangha appreciating that and being patient to that, I think is a good way to begin.